I'm your host, Sean MacKenzie. Thank you for joining me once again on my channel on data engineering. In this episode, we are looking at one of the most powerful tools in AI, and that is PyTorch. In this episode, we are going to install PyTorch along with CUDA 12.4, and we are going to look at one of the biggest gotchas that's happening right now for installations of this type. I'm going to show you my workaround for the dreaded dependency issue, and we are going to cover that in detail. And not only that, we are going to go from zero to hero. We're going to take our PyTorch installation and we're going to put transformers on it, and we're going to start up a GPT-2 instance to do a chatbot. And that's going to show us how PyTorch with CUDA is working on a machine that had no Python on it before, no installations of anything. We're going to cover the whole thing. Let's get to it. Interested in more cool topics like these? Make sure to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description. Okay guys, so this is a fun one today. We are going right from ground zero. So this computer doesn't even have Python on it, so you can start right from the very beginning. We'll go to python.org downloads, and you'll see that you'll be offered 3.12 or higher as this video gets older. But at the time of this video, we definitely want to only get Python 3.11, and that's because, as you will see, the current version of PyTorch only supports from, I think it's 3.7 to 3.11. We will confirm that in the PyTorch website here in a moment, but we are going to grab this Python 3.11.9. That's the last release for Python 3.11. It's pretty recent. April 2024, and that is the one that is going to work with PyTorch right now. And so what we can do is we can scroll down and get our installer here, and we'll grab that 64-bit. That's the recommended one, of course, because we are running a 64-bit computer. And so we're going to take that installer and we'll go ahead and download that, and then we can open it and run it. And of course, once that's done, we can open up our downloads folder, and we can go ahead and grab that. Now, though it's not absolutely necessary to run this as administrator, I am going to run this as administrator, and I'm going to do a user installation of Python. That means it's going to tailor it to this user account on Windows here. There is a method that you can use with that custom installation to do a system-wide installation of Python, but I'm just going to do the user-based one. So that is the express install there, and that should install fairly quickly. This computer that you're seeing here is a very old computer, and it's running Windows Server 2019, but it has a GTX 1050 in it, and I wanted to show it on this before I show it with the RTX 4080. Just so that you could see how the installation can work on a system that's more limited in resources and things like that. Okay, and make sure you choose the options I chose at the beginning there. We are going to set that path variable. Okay, and we're finished here. So our setup was successful for our Python 3.11.9, and we're going to disable that path length limit. I like to do that. You don't have to do it. It just makes things work a little more smoothly. And that gets us good to go there. So let's go ahead and go to the PyTorch website. We can do that by going to pytorch.org, I think it is. And yeah, pytorch.org. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that one. That's our PyTorch link there. And you can see it has a get started message there. And they really have made this very easy to get started with PyTorch. I can, maximize this window. You can see there's a bunch of options here. You can just scroll down really, and you can see they've given this little grid here, this sort of selection menu, and you can see it says latest PyTorch requires Python 3.8 or later, so it's actually 3.8. And I thought I saw the 3.11 as the upper bound of that right now. I did see that in other documentation. But anyway, so what you're going to choose here is we'll choose all these options. So we want stable, Windows, and we're going to use pip. We're going to use Python. and it's saying CUDA 11.8. We're actually going to go for the latest CUDA. I mean, you might as well use the latest and greatest. And after you've made your selections, you'll see it's got this command here. It actually tells you exactly what you need to put in. So we'll right click and copy that command. It's really awesome that they've made this so nice and easy to install. I've actually found this experience to be much better than working with TensorFlow. And so let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to make a shortcut on the desktop. You don't have to. I'm just going to call it CMD because this computer is pretty fresh and it doesn't have much on it, and I like to have that so I can right click and go run as administrator. So I'm going to run as administrator. That's my command prompt. I'm going to paste in the command that I got from the website there. Now that we've installed Python, of course, it's going to recognize that pip3 command, and that is exactly what we want there. So let's go ahead and hit enter on that and see if we blow things up here. Okay, so that's perfect. So we've got our Torch downloading here. You can see it's going to do the full Torch download. That's quite a download. It's 2,503 megabytes, 0.3 megabytes there. And so it's going to take a little while for that to run. That's the full PyTorch installation, which is great. And through the magic of video editing, I can save a whole bunch of time here. Look at that, we're at the end. And so there we go. We've got our 2.5 gigs almost downloaded there. And then once it's finished that, it's going to go through the rest of the installation. Hopefully that goes without a hitch. And we'll see how that works out. Okay, that's great. And so we should see a bunch of smaller downloads once the big download goes. And there we go. So now it's going to get Torch Vision and Torch Audio, and it's going to get file lock and a bunch of other stuff here, including Jinja and NumPy and a bunch of other stuff that it needs in order to do machine learning. And then once it's got it there, you can see that it goes ahead and it starts installing the packages, which is what we want. And there we go. The packages are all done, and it will tell you at the end it is successfully installed a whole bunch of stuff, and you should see it there. And that is what we want to see for this step in the process here. Okay, so the next step of the process is we need to install transformers, because we are going to use a sort of a chatbot. We're going to use GPT-2, which is one of the older GPTs there, and that uses transformers. And so we are going to install that one, and that looks like it's going pretty quickly here, just like we wanted to see. And there we go. And I should also note that you may want to do this in a virtual environment, so you can do a virtual environment with Python. I'm doing this right on my main installation because that's where I want to run it. But if you have lots of different versions of things that you want to run, you might want to use virtual environments, so we'll check that out in another episode. Okay, so I started Notepad++ here. I pasted in a very quick chatbot. I asked ChatGPT to write me a very simple, chatbot that'll run in the command prompt using GPT-2. And this is the code it gave me, so hopefully we'll see how this works. And this will be GPT-2 here. And so there we go. We've got our GPT-2, and that is a very basic one. It does include the check for CUDA, so it's going to check whether you have a graphics card or not. And so if you don't have it, it'll run on CPU, which is really slow. If you have a graphics card and CUDA installed, it will run it on the graphics card, which is much faster. So I've just changed directories there, and you can see that I've changed it to the desktop, which is where I saved that gpt.py that you see in Notepad++ there. And if I just try to run this, it's not going to run because we don't have the C++ redistributable in it yet. And so you can see it says, hey, you don't have the redistributable yet. Go and get that and install it so that you can run your stuff. And so let's go and get that. So we can just type in C++ redistributable or distribution or whatever. There we go, redistributable. And so we can grab the one from Microsoft there. That's the one that we want, and it works with PyTorch, and it gives us almost everything that we need. As you will soon see, it gives us almost everything that we need. Apparently the older version of the redistributable did put a particular file in, and this one doesn't, or it could be some other factor that's caused an issue, but we'll come up to that here in a minute. But there we go. Let's take a look at that. There's our redistributable files. So let's grab that 64. We'll grab the x64 and we'll install that first, and then we'll do the x86 one after. So let's grab that out of our downloads there. We'll open that, right click, install as administrator, and that's going to give us our C++ for 64-bit, and boom, there we go, install, and that's going to give us our x64 version. And then we can go back and we'll grab the x86 32-bit version there, and that is going to give us, for both cases, in case there's something running that's still running on 32-bit, I think we can install both and we are good. So we'll just agree to that and install, and that's a big step toward our PyTorch installation. We need to have those files in there. And so now what we can do is I'll hit the up arrow, so it'll run the same command again in my command window here, and we can see that it still doesn't work. We get this WinError 126, the specified module can't be found, and it's that fbgemm.dll, and that's a bit of a stumper. A lot of people are finding that they can't find what's wrong. Even when they install and reinstall, people are reinstalling their entire Torch installation and everything, and you don't really need to. What you need is one little file, and the file is this this libcomp 140 x86 64 file. And what I'll do is I'll extract this here. I got this from a previous Visual Studio installation that I had that had a slightly different C++ redistributable on it, only about a year old, and it seems like this file is not getting installed when you install Visual Studio and you install the C++ redistributables. And so it's been a bit of a mystery for some people because they're running into this error and they can't really find where to get that now because it doesn't get installed with any of the normal installation stuff. So get a copy of this. All you need to do is paste it into your System32 folder, and it should take care of everything for you. I think it's some kind of supporting file. I don't actually know exactly what it does. It says it's the OpenMP runtime library, and apparently we need it for our Torch installation, so we pasted that in, and now we can go back to our command window and let's give this a try and see if it goes here. So I'm going to run that gpt.py again, and we'll see if it actually runs this time. I hope it does. I don't know if I need a restart here or what, but we'll see. It's taking a little while to start up, and that looks promising. There is our config.json, and our model safe tensors are getting loaded there. That's a 500 megabyte file, 548 megs, and there we go. That's been downloaded, and we've got our other files here that are getting started up. There is a warning though. Check out this warning. That says that my NVIDIA drivers are not up to date and they are too old to run CUDA. So I think it would be good at this point to take another little diversion and update our graphics drivers. Okay, and we can pop over to the download page at NVIDIA there. That's in the error message, and it's going to direct you here. And then I chose the correct model and everything for my card, and I've downloaded it, and now I'm just going to right click install that, and that's going to put the latest drivers onto this computer, and so it is very, very possible that you may need to make sure that your drivers are updated before you can run CUDA and all of the PyTorch stuff if you want to run it on the graphics card. So make sure that your graphics drivers are updated, and that's really going to help you go a long way. Now this card that I have is quite old. This particular one is a 1050. I've got a 1050 Ti in another machine, and my machine uses an RTX 4080 Super, and they all use the same graphics driver, so you can download it and they automatically work themselves out. So it's pretty straightforward. I chose just to install the driver and not the NVIDIA experience because I'm not going to game on this old computer, but I do want to use that graphics processor because it really speeds up the output from our chatbot or ML training or anything like that. And as many of you know these days, a graphics card is your friend when you're doing machine learning or you're doing any kind of training for your ML models or anything like that. There are some newer models I've heard that are using CPU only, which have good results, but these days we are using that graphics card, and we need to have that driver updated. So there we go. So I've updated my card. Let's jump back over to our machine here, and now we can see our GTX 1050 there. I can select CUDA from the download, so make sure you select CUDA there, and that's going to give you the you'll be able to monitor what's happening on your graphics card to see if it's being used. You'll notice if you do run some of these on CPU, after you activate your GPU, it is like night and day how fast these things are. So let's rerun our script now that we have our graphics driver updated. Hopefully we get something there, and it looks like the chatbot has started. It says, "How can I assist you today?" And we can see there's a little bump on our CUDA there, so we know that our CUDA is getting impacted there, and that's good. And we can see the video RAM just sort of shot up there on the right side as well. For the little bit of RAM that's in there, the VRAM that's in there, it's got 2 gigabytes, which is really tiny. But this model, this GPT-2, this is a small version of it. You can see the script. I'll put it on my downloads page, so I can say, I don't know, anything. What kind of music can you find in South America? And it says it thinks it's a good question. And now you can see up at the top there, you can see the CUDA has been activated on that card for this very small model, and that's what we want to see. So you'll see that the responses are pretty snappy, even though this is quite an old computer, quite a low power computer, and you can see that by using that graphics card, it's making things a bit faster. So I could say what kind of cars are the fastest in the world, something along those lines. And you can see there again, there's our CUDA is working a little bit before it gives an answer. Now keep in mind, this is entirely inside your computer, and it's not talking to the outside world or using a network or anything. This is a pre-trained model that has been trained on lots of data, the heap or whatever it's called, the pile. And so it's pretty cool that you can do these kind of requests and things, and you can tune it to provide a greater level of random response and things. So I could ask, what can you tell me about wheat farming in North America? And there you go. So it's got some information. Wheat farming is relatively new. It started in New York in 1839. I'm not sure if that's true, but this is what GPT-2 is giving us back when we ask that kind of question. And you can see there's a little bump on our CUDA there. That's using that video card the way that we want. And so we could jump over to another computer that's running models like this in a similar way. I set up this computer before. It's also running all of my Camtasia and video editing software and everything all at the same time that I'm recording this, so I'm not sure what the results are going to be like, but this is a newer machine. If you're on my Patreon, make sure you go check out the episode I just did where I did unboxing of this machine, the unboxing of this machine. It's got a a pretty good processor and a great video card in it. So let's run GPT-2 only. This is the same model that we had before, and we're going to run it on our 4080 Super, which is actually working because it's recording at the same time. So the CUDA is not working on that, but so there you go. So it's super fast. I hit enter there, and I can type in questions, and you can see that it uses a tiny little bit of CUDA on the right side there, the right graph. You can see that. So I could say, what can you tell me about rice farming in Asia? And it's like, boom, it's so fast. It's like instant. You know, it's an interesting topic and things like that. And there's your response from GPT-2, which is a very small model. And so it's not quite as powerful as some of the other ones if you've done any reading on those kind of things. I could say what kind of cars are fun to drive, you know, and it gives you some feedback. It's sort of I've been driving lots of different cars. It's probably some text that was in a document or something, or an article or something that it was trained on. So that kind of gives you an idea. So you can type exit and you can say goodbye, and then now what we'll do is we'll run a much larger model, and this is the GPT Neo 2.7. Which is a much larger model, and so it's got quite a bit more features, and you can see it is using a good 10 gigs or 10 plus gigs of VRAM on this 16 VRAM card, and so it really is a different beast altogether. These have been trained in different ways, and so this is it's set, at least for the default 2.7, it is more like a conversational chatbot, although I have the temperature set to 0.9 on this, which is quite a bit higher than the GPT-2 one that I ran, so that one's quite different. But when I put a prompt in here, you can see that card is just it's actually working quite a bit in order to sift through everything and do everything it needs in CUDA there in order to get a response. And if you tried to do this prompt using CPU, it would probably take forever to do, and this is actually a pretty long prompt. It might be because it's the first one, I don't know. It says, you know, okay, there you go. I want to help you with a project, and I think I'd like it to be fun. I've got a few ideas, and you know, I could say, you know, can you tell me about wheat farming in North America or something like that. You know, we can ask all kinds of questions, but you'll see that with the parameters changed, so that was very quick. It came back, and you know, I can't, not without seeing it with my own eyes, so that seems kind of cheeky. So I'll say, you sound cheeky, and we'll see what it gives me here, and we'll see how this responds. It's pretty funny, but you get the idea. But that is how you can install PyTorch with CUDA 12.4 on your Windows machine with your NVIDIA graphics card and get some results and getting it all working, including the workaround for the dependency issue. And let's just see what we get here for a response from that. It says I think so. So this is a cheeky chatbot. If you have any questions, please put those in the comments below. Looking for additional resources for your project? Make sure to check out the additional links in the description.